get started.
Good show.
Oh.
All right.
Welcome to the Hey Show.
Hey.
2 points are nice to meet you.
All right.
You know when you have like a tagline, you're supposed to do it every episode.
No.
Well, you know me,
That's
I'm not
that's our roaming thing is that we're gonna change up our
Just a
intro
different.
every single
2
time.
points are nice to meet you.
so welcome to the Hey Show, the show for beginning Jiu-Jitsu and MMA athletes. Definitely not for experts. This show is for people who, I don't have a funny one. Do you guys have a funny one? Something that...
MMA.
People that get caught in cross collars.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
midget
Fuck
MMA
cross
fighting.
People who get tapped out from close guard.
Right.
That's good. All right, so story time. The segment today we're starting with is Jiu-Jitsu Story of the Week. The good thing is that something really cool happened this week, so that's the reason why we decided to do this segment, and that is that Chad got blasted all over the internet that he's a shitty-ass coach. So
That's true.
we want to set the record straight,
Let them know
and we
it's
are
true.
gonna go straight to Jiu-Jitsu Story of the Week by Chad Hawkins. The story of the Tristan story, the Tristan quote: "You will never amount to anything."
In this sport.
Let's still be determined.
TBA.
See, you try to throw someone enough rope to save
Hey, I gotta
themselves.
They just
live
hang
up-
themselves.
and they
I gotta
just
live
hang
up to
themselves.
my. I gotta live up to what I've been told I am.
You're the heel of the show. Go ahead. All right, go.
What am I doing?
Describe when that
Describe?
quote happened.
Yeah.
So
tell
I
the
had
story
this
of that
conversation
quote.
with Tristan the other day, and I guess I was that brutally honest with him.
Yeah, you did say that, I remember.
Yeah. So Tristan, when he came, I think he was 13.
Yeah, 13.
And he had the biggest hands and the biggest feet out of a 100-pound child that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he looked like a baby Great Dane.
Yeah, that's probably
It's pretty
very
accurate.
well accurate. Yes. And I just remember like he was so clumsy, and he would not get any of it down. Like he would trip over his feet. I mean, nothing against Derek, but Derek's tapping him out. Like back in the day, that was kind of like the joke that if you got beat up by Derek, like you're really not doing good.
Poor
Now
Derek.
Derek got tough. Okay, so I'll give Derek props there. I'm not hating on Derek. But back when Derek first started, like all the kids would kind of try to bully Derek. So Tristan he was having no real success, and it just didn't seem like his sport. So I just said, look, you probably aren't going to amount to anything in the sport. You probably should look for a different direction, football or bat, I don't know, something. And I'm sure that I came off as, not being a nice coach, but I just didn't see it, and he completely proved me wrong, and I have no problem admitting that. I mean, that's kind of what we want, right? Like this is what I try to tell parents, students. I can kick out the kid that's not being good or they're not listening, right? But unfortunately, sometimes those are the people that need it the most.
Yeah.
Right? Like, clearly, Michael's daughter, Sun Yoon, doesn't need jiu-jitsu. She's tough. She's athletic. She's smart. Right? Like, she's going to be okay in life with no matter what she does. But there's these people in life that they are troubled. They have bad homes. They have, they're acting out because that's the only thing that they know. And to me, by kicking them out or throwing them out, are you essentially hurting them or helping them in the future? Do they need that place? And luckily, Tristan took what I said, and he worked 100 times harder to become what he's become now.
Yeah.
And, that gave him, it shows how much heart he has, it shows how much drive he has. And, whether that line made him successful or not, we don't know, right? But it clearly lit a fire in his ass. And he clearly has become the top student in Effingham, so, and he's a scary person to deal with now. So I wouldn't change anything. That's what I told the guy the other day, I said, I wouldn't change any of what I did, because if you change any of it, maybe he doesn't exist.
Right.
So.
Yeah, this is a totally unrelated story. When I went to culinary school, I had this chef. He actually made Princess Diana's wedding cake.
Oh, wow.
And he told me, he said, I used to tell people all the time, please leave this school. You're not good at cooking. And you're definitely not going to be a chef. And he said he got in trouble from the admin saying, hey, you can't say that to people. he honestly was like, no, I'm doing them a favor because they're going to fail. They don't have the talent. Now, in jiu-jitsu, we know that it doesn't always have to be talent or things like
Right.
that. It can be learned, whatever. But I definitely don't. I don't know.
I think we've become such a soft world.
Yeah.
And I agree. Here's the problem, right? You don't know what's going to motivate who and how, right?
Yeah.
You could say somebody sucks and they completely shut down and they quit the sport or they quit culinary school or they quit whatever it is, right? You could say they suck, huh? You could say they suck and it motivates them, right? Or you could say, man, you have so much talent and you're so good and you're going to be so good at the sport. Do you know how many people I've told they have so much talent and they're the next big deal and then 3 weeks later they don't exist?
Yeah.
So it goes both ways and there's not any right or wrong way to it. I guess I just grew up with I'm a piece of shit, and if somebody tells me I'm a piece of shit and I like something, I'm going to work 10 times harder until I'm good at it.
Yep. A lot of the most talented people aren't the hardest working sometimes, so.
No, absolutely. That.
Yeah.
I definitely know that. All right, Ronnie.
Yep.
Story of the week. I don't know what this means, so I'm very excited. It says MMA weight cutting versus jits.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about, and this more, maybe not a news story, but more of like a topic was, so MMA has such wide ranges in their weight classes, right? So when you cut for an MMA fight, you got to be, you're normally cutting, and you normally have to cut a ton because you want to be light when you weigh in, and then you have a day to recover, and then you fight that night. Whereas jiu-jitsu, at least for IBJJF and sometimes if you just weigh in the day before on local ones, you're basically weighing in and then you're competing. So my question is which one do you think is a better acumen, or better to say that fighter is good at that weight class, right? Because if you say this MMA fighter is really good at 155, but he walks around at 200. He's cutting 50 pounds or whatever it may be. Whereas you got a jiu-jitsu guy, he fights at 170, he weighs 180 pounds. He's not cutting that much. So he's probably, would you say that guy's more apt for that, or is the MMA fighter that's putting more work into cutting and then recovering is better?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one because everyone's body reacts different.
Right, yeah.
I clearly don't think the way that Tristan cuts is, and then also, how are you cutting your weight?
Right.
Are you doing a really correctly healthy weight cut? Or are you doing it the way that Tristan does?
Yeah.
And you just stop eating
And
until
you
you
just
make
cut it
weight,
all
and
that
then
week.
you're completely drained and you're completely weak. I think whatever weight cut you're going to do, you need to probably find out the healthiest possible way to do it so you're not losing your energy.
Right.
Especially after watching the way that Tristan's cuts weight lately, and even me cutting weight for this last Pans, by just doing it the way that I did, trying to get it all off in a day. It's you don't realize it. And the age is another factor too.
Yeah.
You maybe at a younger age are going to do so much better with that than if you're over your 30s.
Right.
So
I think that extra day to recover for MMA makes it just a completely different world too compared
Right.
to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think that is a nice factor for sure. I think that it'd be nice if you could figure out how to do that in jiu-jitsu, but then
Would you
have
so
complete
you would
monsters.
prefer that? You would prefer, like, if IBJJF switched to you weigh in the night before, then you compete the next day.
I think so.
You would prefer that?
I think I would too.
Yeah.
As competitors, but as a fan,
It
though.
sucks. Well, I think it sucks sitting around all day, and it really messes with your morale and your head.
That's true.
When you're sitting there for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours depleted and miserable, and you're hating your life and you're thinking about your match.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you were just sitting in the stands, chilling, drinking, eating a banana or whatever, and comfortably waiting for your match, I think you would see better matches and more intense matches.
I agree, and also it's like I don't know. Never mind. I lost what I forgot what I was gonna say.
I wanted to crack at this because I heard it completely different, the way you asked it.
Mhm.
I heard it this way. Which is the better way to get entertaining matchups?
Okay.
That's the way I
I
heard
think
it.
the extra recovery day will
I
give you the better
and
matches.
I think it's the exact opposite. I think it's the day of.
Okay.
Because
Well-
I don't think people will cheat. And I don't think people will do extreme weight cuts. I know that's a Joe Rogan thing all the time he talks about. he says if you did it day of MMA, then people would not do extreme weight cuts, and then they would actually stay at their natural weights.
That might be true.
There's some truth to that for sure. Yeah.
And it's obviously way healthier.
Yeah,
I get
clearly jiu-jitsu people are still cutting 10 or 20 pounds.
Right.
correct. Yeah.
And then weighing in and then competing. Most of the top black belts are doing at least a 10-pound cut.
Right.
And
because again, and this is why this dynamic of the show with me is awful, because my experience is mainly with children and kids. I have seen kids that Sun Yu has grown up with now for how long has she been this, like 7-8 years now?
it's been a while.
Yeah. That they're the same size. They are doing extreme weight cuts.
Right, and you should for kids.
Yeah, I don't think kids should cut anyway.
But that's just not. There is a kid. I'm not say names, anything like that.
Let me say it.
There's two kids that I know of. Actually, there's two that Sun Yu competed with, and she has got next to, and she is towering over them now, or the same size.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids were gigantically bigger than her before.
So them doing those extreme weight cuts has stunted their growth. You're thinking.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind.
It's certainly
And
not healthy. For
You're going to, and and like Rev talks about this a lot. These guys that the smaller weight guy, and they're just small, and he's like, yeah, you can tell they cut weight extreme whenever they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
I just think all of that should be burned out of the sport. I think that people should fight at their natural weight cuts. I think it would be more exciting and things like that. But here's the thing, like Chad said, if you're not doing it, someone else is.
Right.
And it's just an arms race that we keep talking about on the show over and over. It's an arms race.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
It's not cutting weight for 6 days in a row while your whole team goes, like that gets rough.
That was me for pans.
That was you for fans, yeah. So Brandon, I gave you 12 minutes to fill.
All right.
Brandon, your story of the week.
I don't really have too much to dig into, Aaron. I'm not sure that this was a couple weeks ago, but I thought it was pretty cool to see all the new promotions for our academy recently too. I think that was kind of the most exciting things I've seen in jiu-jitsu in a while. Honestly, it's just seeing how many did we have? 17 people get promoted.
Yeah, we had it's from like 4 or 5 different schools.
Yes.
We have our 2 schools, but then we look over 3 or 4 other schools. But yeah, somewhere around 16 or 17 people got promoted. Mostly blue belts.
It's pretty exciting just to see all the upper belts now. When I first started 5 years, whatever it was ago,
Everyone's a white belt,
Yeah.
except for 2 people.
Yeah, it was all white belts, and then just you, Derek, and Ronnie. That was it. And now it's there's quite a few blue belts, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, right now I would say our blue belts almost outweigh our white belts in some aspects.
It's getting
depending
close.
on what night it goes.
We've got a few purple belts now, a few
In
brown
terms
belts.
of competitors, too.
Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Okay. All right. Sounds great. So that is Jiu-Jitsu Story of the Week. We're going to keep doing those segments because we all, you guys have all amazing stories to tell.
What's mine?
from your careers.
You did Tristan's.
I did?
Yeah, you did the where you were a bad coach, and then you
Oh,
said
that
why
was
you
my
weren't a bad
segment?
coach. So that's yours.
Oh. I got robbed.
Yeah.
I thought you might want to explain that story instead of just yelling people on
Look,
Facebook
stop
and
being
blame.
soft-ass pussies and stop believing everything the internet says. All right, I'm done.
Believe it all.
Reads, but whatever. All right, well, we actually had a segment lined up, which is going to be, I don't know which is going to be the more popular segment, Do I Tap, or What Would Tristan Do? And that's the segment where you guys guess exactly worded how Tristan answered that question.
Do I have to talk like Tristan?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
And then I get to read his response as Tristan, which I'm really excited for. So, we don't get to do
Tristan's
that.
gonna beat me up.
We are not doing that segment because I did not get in all the answers from Tristan, so that's okay. That will be for the next set of shows. All right, we are instead going to play, which I think Chad won't even understand this, so it makes it even better, right?
Okay.
That doesn't understand anything.
I was gonna say that.
We're going to play our segment called Toughest Guy in Letterkenney, and I'm going to let Ronnie explain this one away because Ronnie's actually the one who introduced me to the show.
So I know you guys have watched it. Letterkenny is a show that is the brainchild of Jared Kiso and a friend of his. They started by doing just like a small town problems a small town in Canada has, and then they made it a TV show. But the main character Wayne, his big thing is he wanted to be the toughest guy in Letterkenny. So there was an episode where he started beating up guys
Fights
that come in.
everybody.
They'd have a fight,
Sounds
and
great.
he started at the bottom and he worked his way up. And So it's fun to play. All right, this guy versus this guy, they fight, and then we call it the toughest guy in Letterkenny.
All right. So we have 2 matchups for toughest guy in Letterkenny, and we are all going to understand these matchups because that's fun. We are going to do all sorts of things. We're going to do just celebrities, actors, normal people we know, inside jokes. But today we actually have a different kind. We have a superhero one. It's going to be interesting. And we also have a hypothetical one. Like a hypothetical person that's in your head. Okay? All right, so the first match. And this is a jiu-jitsu match. This is not that. See,
What
this
are
is
the rules?
exactly. That's
Okay.
so. Ronnie brought this up. He says you can't just call it a fight because
Yeah.
then it's just a street fight.
Yeah.
We have to have rules in these matches. So this is a jiu-jitsu match.
Okay.
Okay, just jiu-jitsu. Now you can choose gi or no gi. I'm gonna go ahead and say no gi because of the 2 characters.
Okay.
Okay. The matchup is Deadpool versus Luke Cage. Now the reason I chose this is because obviously we know the superpowers of Deadpool because that's the very famous one. Luke Cage might be one that people don't know as much, but he has unbreakable skin. So, who wins this matchup? Who wants to go
Stalemate.
first?
Neither of them tap.
Well,
So
just
then
because
it's
it's
No.
points.
It's a jiu-jitsu match.
Yeah.
just because his skin's on doesn't mean he can't be choked.
In the show, there's a scene where someone tries to choke him and they can't.
Why? Because they don't do the choke correctly, or just
Yeah.
or is
Well,
immune?
he has like unbreakable skin.
There's no way
And
Deadpool's
then-
tapping to anything. So
Right. True.
he would
Yes.
have to beat him on points.
Yeah.
And then you have to understand how big Luke Cage is.
He's
Yeah. He's a
at
big
least
dude.
3 weight classes bigger than.
Yes, so
Right.
he's
Deadpool.
ultra heavy.
I think Luke Cage
Deadpool,
wins.
actually, crap. All right, let's look this up.
Yeah, I think
So
Luke Cage
the
wins.
Yeah, you guys
while
felt
he's
so I
looking
looked at
this
the
up, so the
dimensions.
matchup is a big, very strong guy versus a very nimble and acrobatic
that
guy.
you can't hurt, or
That neither one of them
choke.
can get hurt or choke. So we're talking a jiu-jitsu
Well, you
match.
could choke out Deadpool. I bet he just wouldn't tap. I don't think.
I think.
Oh.
Can't die either.
I think if he.
He
well,
just would. He
wouldn't-
just take it, whatever it was. You know, he gets shot in the face and he takes it. So.
Yeah.
Now, if you behead Deadpool, his head still, or until he.
His
That's
body
happened before.
regrows.
He just regrows his whole body.
Right. So I think. Well.
So here's how I think the match works.
Okay.
Right? Deadpool's fighting,
Uh huh.
right? And he rips a finger off,
Uh huh.
his own finger,
Yeah.
and then he shoves it down Luke's throat
Wow, that's a.
until
Okay.
Luke chokes and dies.
Is that a legal submission?
That's. That's the G.
I'll tell you what, that's not a bad.
I'm gonna say it
Shove his
one more
whole face
time.
down his throat.
This is a jiu-jitsu match,
Yeah.
not a celebrity death match.
Is this ADCC rules or?
Yeah, we gotta get a rule set. So
You don't see the finger get
Okay,
shoved down
okay,
throat.
okay. Well, it had to be no-gi,
That's fine.
so let's do ADCC rules.
Okay, ADCC.
We want the heel hooks in there and stuff.
So
right?
submission
And
only for the
slamming.
first 10, and then the last 5 is points.
Luke
So-
Cage definitely wins on points. I think.
Yeah. So as long as I would think Deadpool could squirm out of a lot. I know he's super strong, but neither one of them know jiu-jitsu, so that's the.
Well, then
that's
you have
the
to ask
thing.
yourself which one would be more willing to learn jiu-jitsu too, and we definitely know the answer to that one.
But what if we just teleported them both in here instantaneously with
Oh,
on the
okay,
mats?
gotcha, yeah.
Go at it.
Yeah.
True.
Explain the rules to him and then go.
Wow, Marvel's character database is really bad. It doesn't show any dimensions. Wikipedia doesn't.
I used to
so-
love the little Marvel
What I
Superhero
say, like
cards.
6? Yeah, no. I'd say probably Deadpool 6'1", 170,
Yeah, something
and then
like
I'd say
less than
Luke Cage
200.
is what 6'3",
He's like,
like 250 at least. Yeah. So who's gonna win?
Luke Cage.
Well, I mean,
Unless he shoves his hand down his throat, cat style.
Unless it's a celebrity deathmatch, and then yeah.
you can
Deadpool.
check the oil.
I don't.
You don't get any points for that.
Yeah, but what if you fist the guy's bunghole,
Yeah.
and then he just dies?
Just died.
All
I
right.
think you
Maybe
need to rewatch
Deadpool's
Money
hand has poison in it.
All right, so I
It's a
think
pretty. You like. There's no win scenario unless you're just saying that you go to points, and then probably the bigger guy's gonna win on points.
all right.
I think so.
So we've got 2 Luke Cage votes.
Yeah, unless Deadpool can, and now if we're talking legally, if he can get around and get on his back and just hold
Can't
on.
choke him though. Yes.
He doesn't have to
But he
choke
get
him,
the
he just
forward
gets the back
and hold
points
on.
and then hold on.
Yeah.
He's acrobatic and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
Can,
Better
can
athlete.
Luke just grab his arm though and rip his arm off?
Yeah.
So
mean,
then
but then he wouldn't tap. So does the
Yeah,
now,
that-
do they?
Luke
Does the
Cage
ref
rip
stop
the
the
limb
match?
off, do you
Luke Cage
win?
is really strong too.
Now,
If you rip any limb off, do you automatically have to stop
Yeah,
the
does the
I
match?
ref
think
stop
you do. That's a good point.
I think
never
so.
thought about
Oh,
that.
shit, yeah,
because
never
the
mind.
rule is,
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
is the rule.
the rule is if the ligament or if a big bone breaks, at least that was the MMA
Yeah,
rule.
blood's
but-
everywhere. You got to stop the
Yeah,
match.
they gotta stop it.
I think
Man,
I think
wow,
we got to give it
okay.
to Luke.
You
Right?
got it.
Luke Cage wins.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. There we go.
Well
Got
done.
A complete
We came to a
Completely
complete
changed
finish.
the
You know what? What Chad's gonna do is Chad's gonna go out on this thing and he's gonna put a poll up and we're gonna let all of you viewers watch it and vote on this. That'd be a good idea.
Cool.
It's a nice engagement.
We'll get one vote.
All right. So,
Thanks, Mom.
all right. So the last toughest guy in Letterkenny matchup is a hypothetical matchup. So these are two hypothetical people I made up in my head. Okay. And this is an MMA fight. Let's go. Let's go through 3 rounds, 5 minutes. Okay. Let's go with just regular old UFC rules. You know, nothing extreme. No one rules. Can't knee to the head. Whatever. In quotations, the first person is undefeated in the street guy. Okay. So just go ahead and picture that.
Like a real undefeated in the street guy or a fake undefeated in the street guy?
The guy that says I'm undefeated in the streets.
Exactly. The quotations.
Okay.
He's the guy who says and has that in his vocabulary.
Yeah.
I'm undefeated.
Too
in the
dangerous
streets.
to fight in the cage.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't want to
Versus
see me when I see red. That kind of guy.
exactly. Versus a non-traditional black belt, again in quotations, in hot keto double Fernum Schneewitz, who learned it from a Chinese black belt on Mount Fuji.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I gotta go for the undefeated
Now-
in the streets guy.
Hold on real quick. I've heard, you guys probably at the end are like, what's this Asian guy saying? Chinese black belt on Mount Fuji. Those are 2 different places. Or I just blew your mind. Anyways, I've actually had one person come to Mowequa and tell me that exact statement.
I've had a person say almost that exact statement to me and showed me his hot keto karate card.
Keto's bullshit.
We just made a lot of friends. All right, so
Well, also
undefeated,
our hot keto followers.
undefeated in the street guy versus non-traditional black belt in hot keto, Dubman Furner Schneewitz, who learned from a Chinese black belt on Mount Fuji. Go.
I gotta say the high school tough guy. I mean, he's gonna take it.
Undefeated in the street guy. Yeah.
But you then almost have to assume undefeated in the street guy's never been in a fight.
Right.
Right.
So you got a guy that's going to be just helicopter arming, just throwing
Yep.
his arms out and spinning
Yep.
in circles, versus a guy that has learned something that is probably bullshit, but at least he has a fighting stance. I don't know, man. It's
And he's been to Mount Fuji.
and he climbed up a
That's a
mountain.
high mountain.
If he climbed up a mountain,
You gotta have a
he's
little
got
bit
some
of...
leg strength, some
and some
arm
lungs.
strength, some
That,
lungs.
that's
to
you
him.
gotta go right through the suicide force too. Think
That's
about that. That guy's tough.
Mentally tough.
Yeah, mentally
Mentally
tough.
tough.
I'm still going high school tough guy.
It's
I'm doing the
yeah.
hot keto guy.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Okay, we're putting this on Ronnie. Okay.
Oh, man. I think I'm going to go Hapkido guy too.
Oh!
Only because I feel like having some form of martial art is way better than having zero.
Than having a
I got the streets,
perception.
dog.
Yeah.
Now, if you told me that
Thank
guy has watched every UFC coming up, I might switch to, because at least he's watched it.
What if he's
Yeah,
just
you know
a
what I would
professional
do?
wrestling fan?
What's that?
What if he's just a professional wrestling?
I would go pro wrestler over Hapkido guy, 100%.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna.
At least he knows a hold.
Yeah, he's
Right.
yeah.
Knows
Not
the
a
head.
correct hold.
Hit him with the
He knows
figure
a hold.
4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I have to tell an embarrassing story now. Oh man. So we were teaching arm drags the other day in kids class, and a kid came in to try, and I'm not joking. He tried the arm wringer from like WWE. He was grabbing people's arms and like turning it around, and I legitimately had to like not laugh or anything and be like, "Hey bud, so we're gonna learn another style."
Hey bud.
It was
Yeah.
it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was toughest guy in Letterkenny. So
Cool.
yeah, great segment. All right, let's go on to our last segment of the day, and that's shit talking white belts. So all right, let's transition.
All
See you
right.
guys.
All right, welcome to the Shit Talking White Belt segment of this episode. Today we're looking at Austin. He is a white belt from Terre Haute, and this is a Fuji. I'm assuming from Indiana.
Fuji Indy.
Fuji
and Austin
Indy.
is the Greek god.
So we're gonna watch
He used
him.
to be the Greek god. He's a dad now.
It gets us all. All
You
right.
know when Thor goes through that stage in his life where he gets the dad bod?
Where he's playing
course.
Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah, I think Austin's there.
We've all been there. Right into it. Austin's here in the blue gi.
Stops the trip and
Yeah, that's just such a good spot, and
So is there sound? Can we hear this?
Sure.
Because it's good. You have to hear it.
you have to hear it.
I mean,
might be a little loud.
Turn it down just a smidgen. Well, we'll play it, see what it sounds like.
Oh, that's not bad.
listen to Jordan.
Oh, shit!
It's great. That's not me laughing, though, if you're wondering. Some other dude that has a weird laugh.
Yeah, some other one.
It's definitely not me.
But he really hits good on that lat drop.
Yeah, he stops that trip that the guy goes for.
Very good. He stops the trip and hits a lat drop. I'll go back to.
It's a big 2 points.
We'll finish it and then we can go back and look at points.
So
Good.
he does good. He does good
Great
at
transition him out.
utilizing the position, staying on top.
Boy, I gotta say that guy on the bottom did a shitty job though.
Yeah.
The guy on the bottom wrestled too, if I remember right. So I mean, it's.
Well, when he was in side control there, when they reset him,
he tried to.
he put his foot up to block him, and then he immediately put it down when
Yeah.
the match started, and he went straight to mount.
He had the underhook, but he didn't get out on his hip. He just thought, I'll just use one hand to throw this body over, which is very incorrect.
Yeah, he deserved to get mounted, and now he's trying to put the foot up again. I don't
The
know what
wrong
he's doing
foot
there.
as that.
He created the space here. You need, and here's the biggest thing that I noticed. I mean, this is at
yeah.
all belts. You create the space, and then you stop the momentum
Yeah.
once you create the space, and you lose it all.
And then you're just right back to the same
He's
spot.
got the Kimura
You
on
know,
the
I
other
mean,
side.
Yeah, he does actually really good at keeping that Kimura and then getting it right when he comes up.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
Yeah, during that roll, he was able to just rip it out.
I mean, you know, like we
He's a
got to
big
think
guy,
about
too.
as we analyze these videos too, right? Because we got to get better at this stuff. I mean, we're not perfectionists at analyzing footage. What, you know, the whole time we're just saying some of the good stuff they're doing, but you know, we also have to be giving feedback on what they should be doing. Is are they hand fighting correctly? Is their posture correctly? Is their base correctly? Are they shrimping? You know, all those little things we got to be
Right.
looking at, and it's kind of hard with these videos
Yeah, it's hard to tell some of the
that are
angles.
going so fast.
Correct.
So we do need to kind of maybe stop them more and break down little parts. Like you notice the foot, you know, where he steps on the foot to lat drop him right
yeah,
here.
right there.
You know,
yeah.
like that's good. You know, the shrimp that his opponent does is a good shrimp actually. He actually gets his knee in.
Yeah.
And he actually gets to the
He
point
gets
where
back to
he
half
could essentially be fine, but he just stops and then Austin reclimbs and everything's lost. You know, so we need to figure out those. Just if we can take every video and try to pick out 2 or 3 extra things that whoever's watching this could gain from it, that's what I think the video should do.
Yeah, we're getting ready to reset. We'll show that shrimp again.
Yeah, watch him with his foot here.
Well, what he tries to do is I think he overanalyzes the thought right here, and he thinks he's going to get this underhook and then come out
Yeah.
the back, and then Austin just immediately steps over to mount.
Yeah.
So his thought process was he was going to wrestle up.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as he put his hip down, Austin stepped him out.
Yeah, and when we're talking about that, right here we can see he's got the underhook, but as he turns up,
He goes flat.
his back is flat. You cannot wrestle up with a flat back. You got to
he-
be up on your hip.
They both
up
go
to
for
your
this
knees.
transition at the same time too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he puts his. I mean, he gives it to him.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't. Yeah, he was 100% thinking he was going to just throw him over with
He
one
also
arm.
didn't even fight the knees, like when they're coming over. He doesn't put his
No.
hand down to try to block or
Nothing.
stop him. He just takes it. He just thinks, yeah, he's going to overpower him with that underhook.
Yeah,
But I mean, here he's got his elbows in. His frames are good. The guy
Yeah.
on bottom, right?
but he's not using his feet.
Not yet, but he's going to base it too to kind of like bait him,
Mm-hmm.
right? He fails the first time, fights the hooks off, blah, blah, blah.
Now he's kind of got
goes
that
2
cross.
on 1.
Yeah.
The leg right here. People can't really tell, but he's 2 on 1ing the leg.
But that's what gave up his Kimura, unfortunately, because he didn't keep it as a good frame. That one
Oh, he
arm
already
slipped
has the
off.
Kimura in
Yeah, he's
here?
got the Kimura here.
and then
Okay.
he
Yep,
he
you're
hip
right.
See, it's
bumps right
behind
here,
his
yeah.
back.
And
Then he gets to half guard, and
Yeah.
that's all she wrote.
and really, if he would have just turned his hips to the left right here and started shrimping out,
He would have been a lot better
and
off.
straightening the arm, he could have probably started chasing the back. But instead, he just comes up, and then Austin follows it and then
And gets the
continues
finish.
it
I don't know
short.
if he could have finished it if he didn't turn him over like that, honestly.
Right, exactly. He should have stayed on his back, and he should have kept straightening his arm and scooting off
Yeah.
to the side until he was either on the back. He shouldn't have let the roll take place.
Yeah, whenever he rolls, he gives him that angle to finish it.
Yeah, right here, when I grab up a Kimura from mount, I normally step back over into side control because then I can turn my hips under to get the finish, and then you don't have to
pull
worry
Step
on
about
over
the
the
side.
head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Well,
just some details on the finish on that.
look, guys, we're going to keep getting better at these videos. We just need you to send us some more videos, a little bit better quality.
Send us videos of people you hate.
There you go. Hey, that's
we'll
fine.
take any videos that you want us to review and analyze, and we're going to get better at these things. So we appreciate you guys watching, following our content, and subscribing to our channel, and keep watching The Heyyy Show.
We'll see you next time.